It's going to be a simple and easy guide today. This video, however, will contain spoilers for a lot of Monster Hunter Stories 3. I wouldn't watch if you're only on the second area or are sensitive about these things. Calamity Elder Dragons are 4 incredibly difficult fights that you'll run into during your time in Monster Hunter Stories 3. They're vastly more powerful, more tanky, and more challenging than anything you'll face in your time throughout the game, in lieu of anything like, say, a tower or a challenge mode or what have you. Now that I've finished my playthrough, thank you Capcom for the early copy, here's how I took them on and how I hope you can too. This intro will be same for all of the Calamity Elder videos that I plan on making, so if you've heard this before, you can go ahead and skip onwards. These super bosses are spawned by fighting things at night. That's it. You can't beat things in the overworld, it has to be in the fight screen itself, but if you're over leveled enough you can still force the spawn by using the quick finish option. As long as you go through a loading screen, you are good to go. Which Elder spawns, however, is completely up to chance. It's all at random, not tied to the area you're in at all. You could be in the desert and get a cutscene of some bastard cutting about in the iced peaks about half a continent away, so expect to be resetting if you're targeting a certain fight. Anyways, onto the prep, and what you need to understand about the fights before taking them on. If you think you're all clued in, you can skip to the next timestamp for the individual fight in this video. If we're looking at the fights themselves, stamina will be a sacred resource. The Calamity Elders will frequently use typeless skills, that is to say moves that cannot be countered in the head-to-head wheel. Your weapon skills will be essential in mitigating the damage or outright avoiding this, so armor and genes that boost stamina will be your holy grail. Additionally, you'll want to pack the following items: surrogate gems, vital essences, mega rations and rations, plus any healing that you can. The surrogate gems allow you to avoid one attack, which should be saved for the one-shot AoEs that all of these beasts carry if you find yourself out of stamina. Vital essences are good if you make mistakes and have a free moment to restore your hearts, and the rations will allow you to restore your monstie if you really just need them to stop using second wind for a second. As for gear, my recommendation would be the Gosharag armor, sporting a very wide range of elemental defenses that little to none of the Calamity Elders inflict. Additionally, it comes innately with a health boost and a Wyvernfell boost, plus a bunch of decoration slots. It gets the seal of approval from me. Weapon wise, you want a gun lance and you want a hammer. You can see after your first encounter the elemental weaknesses of each dragon in the Monsterpedia, so make the strongest one of said element available to you, provided that they come with the skills I'll mention next. The reason for these weapon choices are the hammer's Backlash Blitz skill as well as Sweet Spot or Perfect Crush, and your gun lance must have the skill Daring Guard. The Backlash Blitz, much like the gun lance, can apply the guard condition to yourself, which severely mitigates damage and allows you to survive some AoEs, and in Hammer's case, can respond to a survived attack with a counter of its own. The guard condition gives a lovely damage reduction and should not be slept on. If you find yourself facing down a survivable AoE and have some stamina, pop one of these. Conversely, the gun lance skill will increase your guard proportional to an attack and will always leave you with 1 HP. You can use these for big AoEs, it's just a bit stamina heavy. And finally, the thing to remember is really you're going to be looking at draining the Wyvernfell gauge. Remember, these Calamity Elders are a marathon, not a sprint, so your favourite skill is going to be Sweet Spot or Perfect Crush on the hammer. I prefer Sweet Spot as it's a little less stamina intensive. On to the basics of the fights. The Calamity Elders will follow set patterns. Typically they'll open with a massive one-shot and shift between different states that prioritise each colour of the attack wheel, speed, power or tech. For these one-shots, I'd also recommend you make sure that Ratha gets his level 50 skill, Critical Eye, to preserve your hearts, as it will allow you a free dodge. They are largely scripted in terms of what moves they choose, but you can skip moves with clever usage of the Wyvernfell gauge and your own responses including kinship attacks. The fight will be checkpointed with each quarter of HP that you deplete, so if you lose, the Elder will have their health locked to that point next time after you repel them. You still get 1 material anyway, so you can make the weapons and armor after 3 losses, but if you want the lovely rewards of taking down an Elder in one go, that's what we're here for. Oh, and make sure you do the NPC sub-stories. Not only are they adorable and in some cases very sapphic, you unlock a new monstie for your companions. I personally recommend Cora and her second monstie, or Eleanor and her first. Right, got all that then? Brilliant. This will be the standard intro for all of the Calamity Elders going forward, so let's see which one we're taking on today. Velkhana, the Iceborn Wyvern, can be found in the 4th area, the Ice Peaks. Velkhana's fight hinges on you identifying each state that she goes into and reacting accordingly. The fight starts out with this Icicle Raid AoE, which is not a true one-shot and thus can be mitigated by guard. You'll ideally want to start with Ratha using Critical Eye here. Velkhana is weak to fire and dragon, so Glavenus and Deviljho weapons will be magnificent here, and for monsties, getting a decent build and one of each here will be great. I elected to use a Hellblade setup here, and also Ebony Odogaron using Arkveld's unique buff. In the first stage after the AoE, Velkhana will use technical attacks. Remember, if the line is yellow or blue between you and the monster, those are the head-to-heads and you want to respond with a power attack in this phase. Typically after this opening AoE you'll see one tech move, and then the single target skill Hyper Freeze, then Velk will shift states. Hyper Freeze cannot be countered with a head-to-head, so you may have to use guard or evasion here as well. This second state here will use one speed attack, then either another speed or the Hyper Freeze move. And then it will finally top it off with the Icicle Raid again another survivable AoE. Ideally you'd like to use those speed attacks in between for head-to-heads to preserve your own stamina to anticipate the Icicle Rain. If you have stamina to spare, you should be using your sweet spot skill to wreck the Wyvern Soul gauge. As you can see here, you can do some serious damage to get through that stamina. See, this is where Korra as a partner shines. Her skill to draw ire from the monster allows your side of the field to stay relatively untouched, and she has a serious amount of survivability with the ability to guard. You also need to make sure that you're keeping an eye on your partner's moves as you select yours. If you learn that she uses her shielding stance to move aggro away from you, can allow you to take a risky play such as taking a ration or maybe even using some healing items, and it's the same thing with her kinship attacks. With her second monster it's called Steam Burst, and if that shows up on the field, you know you have a free turn. The final phase will be the cutscene where Velkhana takes to the skies and starts using power attacks. It's known as the Freezing Fog Mantle. You are on a time limit in this phase as it will end with a one-shot AoE known as Absolute Zero. Your work on the Wyvern Soul gauge will pay off here, and you have to make sure that you get the stagger, that is depleting both red Wyvern Soul orbs and the final gauge, as soon as possible, as otherwise 2 back-to-back Icicle Raids are incoming. Of course, if you've been stingy with your resources, you may survive these 2 AoEs by using Guard and the Surrogate Gem. However, Absolute Zero is coming next, and this is a guaranteed one-shot. Provided that you make it to the stagger, however, you're home free. Velkhana will exit the Fog Mantle stage, however do not activate the Synchro Burst. I personally believe it's a trap, and the free turn to heal, rebuff, get some crits in and start working on the Wyvern Soul gauge is going to be way better spent than the damage in the cutscene. It will also allow you to restore hearts with your Vital Essences if you've made any mistakes. Of course, the real reward comes from if you manage to stay patient, manage your resources, and take Velkhana down in one go. This rewards the Heroic Testament Talisman, which provides an all-around boost to attack, damage, and damage reduction the more Calamity Elders you slay. It's going to be a mainstay in your set no matter what, and ideally you're going to be looking to do this for all 4 Elder Dragons. You only receive this decoration by killing an Elder Dragon from full health from 100% down to 0. From there, the next Calamity Elder that you defeat will level up this decoration, and with all 4 you'll receive the magnificent Heroic Testament XL. That's the long and short of Velkhana, however. It's very scripted and you just need to know to manage your stamina accordingly. One tiny bit of advice is to get a monster with the skill that allows regeneration of stamina, as you can see on my Grimclaw Tigrex here. On free turns you can activate this skill and enjoy the recovery to your stamina. As we mentioned, it is a sacred resource. Another final thing to mention, as I didn't take advantage of this with my Ebony Odogaron, is to use the egg skill Dragonfella. As it is a multi-target attack move that attacks monsters at random, if there's only one target, it will hit all of them with as much damage as possible, and the sheer amount of dragon damage it does to Velkhana is ridiculous. You can receive this from mid to higher level monsters in dragon element areas. But that's the long and the short of it. Remember, manage your stamina, stay patient, it's a marathon, not a sprint. Hopefully you can do what I did and take down all 4 Calamity Elders, and be sure to share any of your strategies in the comments. Thanks all, see you later.